You know the exact feeling. It's 2 a.m., the rest of the house is entirely silent, but your mind is deafening. You're staring at the ceiling, cycling through worries about your career, a looming hospital bill, or a mistake you made 5 years ago. To distract yourself, you reach for your phone. But scrolling through the highly edited, perfectly filtered lives of everyone else only makes the feeling heavier. That baseline stress transforms into a toxic sense of inadequacy and envy. We treat this paralyzing mental fog as a uniquely modern side effect of the digital age. Yet this suffocating weight is actually a perfect mirror of an affliction recorded over 1,400 years ago. In 7th century Arabia, the Prophet Muhammad experienced this identical psychological weight. This sudden onset of anxiety resulted from a targeted, malicious attack on his mind, distinct from the everyday pressures of leadership or the exhaustion of military campaigns. A sophisticated black magic curse had been placed upon him. The attackers knew they couldn't defeat him in the daylight, so they designed a spell specifically to break his spirit, plunging him into a deep depression without disrupting the accuracy of his divine mission. Which leaves us with a fascinating question. How does an ancient remedy used to break a literal sorcerer's curse map onto the specific ways our own anxiety functions today? The conspiracy began with Labid bin Asim, a prominent sorcerer in the region. For a handful of coins, Labid bribed a young servant who worked in the Prophet's home to steal his comb and a few strands of his hair. With the material in hand, Labid tied 11 knots into the hair. Over each, he blew a dark, venomous incantation, sealing the psychological curse. To ensure the spell could never be broken, Labid wrapped the knotted hair and the comb around a heavy stone, dropping the entire package into the pitch-black depths of the abandoned Zadwarwin well. The psychological toll was immediate, and it lasted for nearly a year. The Prophet suffered from heavy, suffocating lethargy. He experienced phantom memories, believing he finished unstarted tasks, and lived with constant, unexplained restlessness. Because the source of his mental deterioration was buried at the bottom of a dark, forgotten well, a physical rescue was impossible. Escaping this darkness required a divine intervention. The turning point arrived when angels visited the Prophet in a dream. They revealed exactly what was causing his suffering, the nature of the 11 knots, and the hidden location of the Zadwarwin well. To break the spell, God revealed 2 short chapters of the Qur'an, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas. Together, these 2 chapters contain exactly 11 verses, one for every knot tied by the sorcerer. Falaq refers to violently splitting open something hard and dark, like a seed cracking apart beneath the soil so life escapes. It contrasts with Ghasik, identifying the absolute terrifying peak of nighttime darkness, where human vulnerability is highest. Invoking the Lord of the Falaq signals that even when the darkness of Ghasik seems absolute, the Creator has the power to split it open with the hope of a new morning. The surah then addresses the concept of Shar Ma Khalaq, the evil of what He created. This acknowledges a harsh reality. God created all things innocent, but those creations can eventually be corrupted into significant sources of harm. For a historical example, look at J. Robert Oppenheimer. He spent his life trying to understand the natural laws of physics, but by unlocking the power of the atom, he realized too late that his discovery had made him death. The result was the devastation over Nagasaki. A single bomb wiped out over 100,000 lives. This weapon, born from the manipulation of natural creation, was a display of terrifying human corruption. When we ask for protection from the evil of creations, we acknowledge our vulnerability. We are fragile beings, exposed to both the massive, destructive inventions of humans and the unseen forces we cannot control. The surah specifically warns of the nafasats, the women who blew into the knots. Today, we don't have sorcerers blowing on hair in dark wells. We do, however, have invisible whispers of doubt and insecurity constantly blowing into our minds. The ancient physical knots have been replaced by mental ones. We tightly bind our own anxieties about job security, the fear of failure, and the constant dread of how we are being judged by others. And then there is Hasad, the feeling of bitter envy. The surah warns us of the Hasid, the envious person. The modern Hasad no longer lurks outside your door. They live permanently inside your pocket, watching your every update. Social media platforms engineer this toxic gaze. We become voyeurs, peering into the highlights of others, while simultaneously broadcasting our own lives for thousands of people to scrutinize. Drinking from that feed only increases your thirst and dissatisfaction. By participating in this cycle of digital comparison, we do Labid's work for him. We tie the knots in our own minds, hand the ends to a watching world, and allow it to blow anxiety into our deepest insecurities. Protecting yourself begins with intentional silence. Broadcasting every achievement and blessing to a digital audience of strangers invites the destructive gaze of Hasad. Instead, safeguard your genuine happiness and your private family life. Treat those moments like a fragile pearl, kept hidden safely inside an uncrackable shell. The next time you find yourself awake at 2 a.m., overwhelmed by a panic that feels insurmountable, remember the pitch-black depths of the Zadwaran well. No matter how tightly the 11 knots of your personal anxiety are tied, they are not permanent. The exact same power that splits the night sky to create tomorrow's dawn is waiting to set you free.